Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Dear brother and sister, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this video, I will discuss about Surah Al-Jumu'ah and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala command us, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ask us to do on the day of Jummah. So let's see directly. We will go to the Quran. Just open the Quran and let's see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. This is very important verse. So we should remind ourselves, and for me that is a reminder as well, and I thought to share to those who have not seen this verse so far, so that you can also act upon this and get rewards. So let's go to Quran and let's see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Jumu'ah. So the Surah Al-Jumu'ah is Surah number 62. This is Surah Al-Jumu'ah, and we will directly go to ayat number 9. So ayat number 9, you can see. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this ayat, if you read yourself, O you who believe, that means Ya ayyuhallazina amanu. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the believers, O you who believe, when the call is made for Salatul Jumu'ah, that means when Adhan is called for Salatul Jumu'ah, then hasten to the remembrance of Allah. That means what? Normally what happens in Ghafla, normally we get indulged in our work. Normally Adhan has been called, but Satan mislead us, and we are more and more involved in our work. And what happens? We can't reach for Jummah Salah in time. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that once the Adhan of Jummah is called, there is no space of work. Directly you have to go to Masjid, and so running. But it doesn't mean that hasten doesn't mean here you don't have to run. You have to keep in mind that okay, I have to go to Masjid as soon as possible, so that I can go there and recite kalima, recite durood, and etc., and also offer salah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't stop here. He further says to the remembrance of Allah and leave aside business. Very important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly says that once Adhan is called, there is no space for work, there is no space for your trade and business. You have to stop the work. So if in spite of calling the Adhan, if you are doing business that is prohibited, that is haram, so we should keep in mind these things. Once Adhan is called, then we should head for hasten for Masjid and namaz. That is better for you if you know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that is better for you. And who knows better? Of course Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows us better. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if you act upon this, then that is better for you. And if you go further in verse number 10, then you will see, but when the prayer is completed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the verse number 10 that when the prayer is completed, then disperse in the land and seek Allah's grace. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, then disperse in the land. That means you disperse in the land, means once again you get into the work, you start working. So disperse in the land and seek Allah's grace. Okay, and remember Allah much, that you may prosper. So there are three important points. Once the Adhan is called, then hasten for Salatul Jumu'ah to the Masjid. That is point number one. The second point is here that stop your business once Adhan is called. You don't have to work, which there is no permission of working. If you keep working, if you keep doing the business, that is against this verse. And the third thing is once it is completed, once you have completed the Adhan, then you can disperse for in the land. That means once again you involve yourself in trade, in business, in your work, office work, whatever work you are doing, and seek Allah's grace. That means seek means rizq, and seek rizq, that is, and remember Allah much, that you may prosper. So it is very important to understand here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that after completing Jummah, normally what happens once we have completed the Jummah, then we get involved once again and we forget everything else. So no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, even you have completed the Jummah, later you should maybe recite durood and recite kalima, keep remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that that you may prosper. That means what? If you do this, then you will prosper. And prosperity means if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you will prosper, that means what? No one is going to stop us from getting prospered, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he himself is saying that you will get prosperity once you do all these things. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to act upon these verses, and I myself remind myself to work on this, and I also pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that all the Muslim ummah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to act upon this ayat, and we get reward. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.